But I think the reason why it was so long, well, number one, I did want to include sort of an anecdote and realization about it's not just that the European web, you have to deal with all these pop-ups and all these sorts of things. It's that
Mm-hmm.
all the businesses in the EU have websites and systems that are like from the early 2000s. Like, why do you need all my information? Like, we've solved this problem in the US. Like, there's a couple services, and everyone complains about the services, and there's downsides. Let me promise you, every single site making you start your own account and your own sort of thing and all this sort of bit and collect all this information, it's ridiculous. It's out of control. It takes you like 15 minutes to get a museum ticket. So like there's just a bit here where I think the US is way better to use. I think it's better and more secure. Like, why does the Louvre need my passport number or whatever it might be? That might not be a specific one. Don't fact check me on that, but for sure,
Right.
one museum we went to did. And like, so there's just the people talk about how regulation and things like this, like, sort of freeze things in their tracks. And I never quite picked up on that to the extent I did this trip, which is nothing has evolved here. Like, we're just stuck. It's like stuck in the early 2000s as far as the web goes. The only change is the addition of 5 gazillion pop-ups, which everyone sort of already complains about. Anyhow, that was not necessarily pertinent to my article, but I really wanted to put it in, so that didn't help. Didn't help the length.
It got real for you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the length issue came from the point I wanted to make is, look, the EU can do what they want to do. If they want to have an early 2000s web, they can have the early 2000s web. That is their prerogative. I'm not sort of denying that. And I'm not, I don't want to get in, like, I can disagree with a lot of the regulatory choices, but whatever, they can do what they want to do. The issue, and what I wanted to do, was document this and sort of have everything in one place, which is what I see is a pattern of actions that go beyond regulation, saying what you sort of, can or cannot do. There is developing a number of sort of dictating what you must do. And that must do is getting into the cores of like how companies make business. And to me, this is like everyone, regulators want to always characterize themselves. Look, we're trying to protect the market. We're trying to enable the market, make sure that we're dealing with market failure. These are not market-oriented outcomes. These are top-down, dictated, you must do this sorts of things that have nothing to do with markets, have nothing to do with capitalism. It's like state control, and it's state control of foreign entities, right? And like, I just think there's a bit here where, so number one, I wanted to just show this isn't an Apple thing. This is sort of a pattern that is starting to develop. And then number two, the point here is, look, I am an American citizen. Like, I don't have a say on what the EU does. And again, it's their prerogative to sort of do what they want to do. But it's just to point out that the economic structures that let the EU sort of be the worldwide regulator of the internet, because of the nature of tech and one code base and wanting to serve everyone, if the EU makes up a cookie banner, then cookie banners are going up all over the world. That's starting to change, because number one, companies are starting to meaningfully, there's always been differences in services in different countries, but they're starting to meaningfully fork their sort of products to serve the EU in a different way. That means the costs associated with serving the EU is not the entire cost of developing a service, it's developing the EU specific service. So it's a much narrower sort of market that's being addressed, and you add on to it a fine structure that is predicated on assuming we are the worldwide regulator, so we're going to fine you on a worldwide basis. That the expected value of doing business in the EU. Now, right now, it's all theoretical, but if they ever actually fine a company 10% of the worldwide revenue, that's, I think, when crap's going to really hit the fan. And again, this is an article we're going to need to come back to in 5 to 10 years to see if any of this materialized or was just scaremongering on sort of my part. I'm not trying to scaremonger. Like, I am concerned about these structural issues, but that's why it was so long. I probably should have left aside the anecdote, but those two pieces was going to take a lot of words, because just to sort of lay out the case and why this might be problematic going forward.
Yeah, and I think you articulate it well there. And my two additions would be, number one, it's useful to distill the precise implications of some of the EU policies and the investigations they're undertaking. And that's what I took away from the article, is just clarity about what exactly is implicated by all of this. and what it actually means to compel Meta to just change its entire business model, or Apple and Nvidia. I don't even know if you mentioned Microsoft. I mean, that was another reason the article was so long, is it's just like a multi-front assault right now, whether it's Meta, Nvidia, or Apple, or Microsoft. So we would be here all day if we were going through all of the different regulatory ambitions that the EU has right now.